Hey Eurovision fans, we have the 15 songs competing in the first semi-final of Eurovision 2024, but there are only 10 slots available in the grand final. I'm going to go through all 15 songs and put them either into my qualifying or non-qualifying section based off of the song, the artist, the running order, qualification streaks, and we're going to try and guess at this point pre-rehearsal who could qualify. So let's kiki. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. So in case you're new to my channel, I'm not usually pushed out of my own screen by a gigantic whiteboard, but my old whiteboard was too small and several people asked me to get a larger one. This one is probably a bit too large. I'm kind of being pushed sideways by it. This is the best I could do with the setup in my new apartment. So what we're going to do today is we're going to go through all 15 of the songs and we're going to talk about their strengths and weaknesses and whether they can qualify or not. So before we go, I have to do a little bit of a disclaimer. This is not my personal top 10. These are not the top 10 I want to go through. This is what I think is going to happen, not what I want to happen. Every single year, several people get very triggered by this video that I don't qualify their song. I'm going to put some grass up on the screen. Girl, you need to touch that grass. This is a very unimportant video done by a random Irish guy. I have no control over who qualifies whatsoever, no influence. So me saying that your country won't qualify pre-rehearsals is not going to affect anything. Relax, calm down, possibly log out of the internet for a couple of minutes. Okay, I've split the sections up into definitely yes, likely yes, borderline yes. Then we have this red wavy line of death that you don't want to be below, because then we have borderline no, likely no, and definitely no. All three of the automatic qualifiers will also compete: the UK, Sweden, and Germany, the three Germanic languages, but people won't be able to vote for them, but they could influence the songs, because at the end of the day, something like Sweden, which has a really strong high production performance, it's probably going to show up a couple of people. Okay, let's start with something easy, and that is Ukraine. It's Alyona and Jerry Hall singing Teresa and Maria. This one's very easy to do. Ukraine have a 100% qualification record. That is not changing. In fact, not only have they got a 100% qualification record, the only one left, but they've actually never been 9th or 10th in a semi-final either. They've always been top 8. So they are incredibly dominant in semi-finals. They have a fantastic staging. They've got a great song this year. I think it's really solid entry. Definitely going to qualify, but I don't really see it being a contender to win. But I'm expecting incredible staging from Ukraine. They've obviously got a little bit of an existential crisis right now. So Eurovision is a fantastic way for them to show the vibrancy of the music and their culture, and they're definitely not going to miss this opportunity. I'm expecting something really beautiful. I think the music video is actually coming out in a couple of days as well, so that'll give us a good idea. Eventually, someday, probably Ukraine won't qualify, but I don't think it's going to be this year. So this is a definite yes for me. So that was a nice easy one to start off with. I'm pretty sure I'm going to get that one right. Just for reference, I usually get 9 right after rehearsal. Obviously, after rehearsals, you have a better idea of who's going to make it and who isn't. Okay, the next country we'll talk about is Croatia. It's Baby Lasagna singing Rim Tim Tagidim. Again, this is a really great song. Baby Lasagna, I've seen, has been improving with his performance. I was a little bit iffy after his performance in Dora semi-final. He was much better in the final. And then since then, he's been doing a lot of pre-parties. He's been doing a lot of TV show appearances as well. And every time I see him, he's getting more confident. He's got better presence on stage, filling in those little gaps with extra charisma and choreography. And it's looking better and better. This is definitely qualifying. It's got a pretty good running order slot in the first half as well, going as late as possible. So the producers are aware of the fact that this is a special moment for Croatia. They're not going to trip them up in any way. This is definitely going through, and this is definitely a contender to win the entire contest as well. So we don't need to worry about Croatia not qualifying. This is a definite yes. Okay, let's go to our third country, and that is Finland. It's Windows 95 man singing No Rules. Now, I've seen quite a few people trying to predict that. Now, I've seen quite a few people predicting that this won't qualify. I think that's wishful thinking. I think there's quite a few people who just don't like the song because they don't enjoy the comic humor element to it. But I think this is a fantastically hilarious performance. It did so well in the Finnish televote. I don't see why it would do so well in the Finnish televote and then not translate into other countries, because it's not like the song was in Finnish or it only had Finnish jokes in it. I think people are really going to love this. I think it's going to do extremely well the televote in the semi-finals. I think when it goes to the final, it's going to get a little bit smothered by Joost from the Netherlands, and I think that actually in the final it won't have as much of an impact. But in its semi-final, where it is the king of humor, I think that this is going to do really well. I would be Super surprised that this doesn't qualify because they've got the egg, they've got the shorts, they've got the glitter coming out, and presumably they've added in a couple of new elements as well. Yeah, this is pure televote bait. I would be so surprised if this doesn't make it through. This is a definite yes for me. And they've got a relatively good running order as well. I think they're 10th and they come after, yeah, they're after Slovenia and before Moldova. This board is really cramping my mother loving style. It's so big. I just wish I could shrink it like 10%, like chop a line off here or something. Okay, well, speaking of Moldova, let's talk about Moldova. So Natalia Barbu singing In the Middle. I genuinely forgot the name of the song there for a second. This for me right now, I don't know. We know that Moldova can pull out some really super fun staging. Tranela Tsul, amazing, ended up coming second in the televote. Also, My Lucky Day was something that people were completely and utterly sleeping on, and they ended up having incredible staging and then also came top 10 with that. So we know that Moldova knows how to bring fun and whimsy, but I think they've just got so little to work with here. The song is quite flat. The staging in the national final wasn't particularly exciting. Some people will say that's because it's low budget national final, but Pasha Parfene last year was in the same contest and I still felt that he had a like somewhat cohesive package. So I just felt like the starting point of this is so low. Again, Moldova could pull through, but at this point in time, I'm really feeling that this is a likely no. Maybe a definite no? No, I wouldn't say definite because I do feel like Moldova have that potential trick up their sleeve that they will tap into their televote secret sauce. They need to do a lot of work to save this though. Okay, let's next talk about Lithuania. It's Sylvester Belt singing Luktelk. So this song has been really successful in Lithuania. Third in the running order, which was the same slot that Monica Leo had, and she qualified from there. Constracta also won her semi-final from the third slot. Third isn't so bad, and recently they've been putting stronger songs there. I feel like this has gigantic support within the Lithuanian diaspora. I think this is one of the most successful songs. It was #1 on the charts in Lithuania for a really long time. So I think the Lithuanian diaspora are really going to come out for this. Not that it needs it, but it does give me that extra little bit of reassurance. Ireland's here, UK, Norway, Poland, Finland. I just think there's loads of countries here. There's so much love for this in Lithuania. I think that's going to carry through. I think the performance is going to kind of stand out as well. A little bit worried that the UK is coming 2 songs afterwards because I feel like there's a little bit of an overlap here in terms of the feel and buzz of it. Plus, I think they just feel like a little bit of a similar genre. So that's a little bit of a concern that the UK could show him up. Lithuania have a good qualification record. They've qualified the last 3 years in a row. I feel like they know what they're doing staging wise. Same with Finland as well. I feel like Finland have really turned a corner and understand how to stage properly. So yes, I'm quite confident that this is going to come through. I'm going to put this in my likely yes section. Okay, let's now talk about one of Lithuania's neighbor. Are they a neighbor of Lithuania? I hope so, otherwise this segue isn't very good. It is Poland. Luna singing The Tower. What's my geography like? Anyway, very similar situation to Lithuania. They've got a lot of favorable countries in the semi-final. Also Ireland and the UK and Germany. Lithuania's here. Finland. I think Sweden will enjoy this as well. I think the song is pretty solid. I think it's particularly right, but this has been doing surprisingly well in the Euro jury, which is a mock jury vote done by Eurovoix website. And then I also just watched Eurohub's scoring as well, and this also did pretty well in that. It's 26th in the Eurovision scoreboard, which isn't great, but I think this is really a radio friendly. It's got one of the better draws in the first half. It is song number 6. I also took a look back through Poland's recent non-qualifications, and both Grome and Tulia did qualify with the televote. Now Rafał the Rider didn't, but that song was like very late and messy and strange. I liked it, but that whole situation was very unusual. This feels much more organized. I think the music video looked quite expensive and they're going to put some money into this. It's got a very steady mainstream appeal, and with so many kind of like out there eclectic songs, this is a little bit more of normality, plus a diaspora vote, plus the fact it's later in the half. I think that actually this is going to get through. I don't know if it's going to be high up. I think possibly it's going to be 7th, 8th or 9th in terms of qualifying, but I'm putting this in as a likely, actually I'm putting it as a borderline yes, but I'm putting it in as the first borderline yes, the leftmost borderline yes. Okay, the south of the red line is looking a little bit lonely, so let's talk about Iceland. Iceland, it's Hera Björk singing Scared of Heights. People are talking about this as having the potential to pull a Gustav this year. In case you don't know, Gustav from Belgium was not expected to qualify. He built up a little bit of a backstory, had some fantastic staging, the community kind of fell in love with him, and then he ended up not only qualifying but coming seventh in the final. People are talking about this having the same potential because it does have that kind of like dated 90s dance sound. I don't know if she has the same backstory that he does though. I don't know, like Gustav had this underdog, very humble, low self-confidence storyline, which kind of made him very endearing. Hera Bjork is lovely, but I just don't think she's got the same story that's going to pick up momentum. Also, she's been in the contest before in 2010. I saw this performed live at Madrid and people went crazy for Je ne sais quoi. And when this came on, people went to the toilet and got beers. I think it's got almost no points in OJE. It's got very few points in Eurojury. Theoretically, a lot of wine mums could come out and vote for this, but there's just a lot of ifs. They need the staging to be elevated. I don't know if Hera would be comfortable doing some like wacky fun staging, you know, because the song is called Scared of Heights. Theoretically, they could like hang her down from a trapeze or get her spinning in the air or something. I just don't think she's going to agree to do that. So yes, I am not expecting this to qualify, but I'm putting it as a likely no, because I do think it has that potential for that storyline. Or if other countries slip up, I think that Hera is very consistent. She'll be able to sing this very well. She's got that experience. She's not going to be nervous. So if other people slip up, she might be able to jump up and grab into the 10th spot in the same way that Sister did. They came 10th in their semi-final. It's so hard to stay on screen. Okay, let's next talk about Serbia. It's Teodor singing Ramonda, and poor Serbia have been given another crappy running order slot. Constractor was in number 3, Luke Black was in number 3, Teodor is number 2 this year. So really unfortunate luck that Serbia has for 3 years in a row drawn first half and then being put in the first half of the first half yet again. So very, very unlucky, but Serbia does have some support. Croatia's here, Slovenia is also here as well. I think this will get 12 points from Croatia and 10 points from Slovenia. This song does take a bit of time to warm up, so I think they need to be smart with the staging here. There are quite a few of these like more gloomy ballads this year. We have Ukraine, we have this, we also have Portugal, Yolanda, and we have Slovenia, Raven. I don't know if all 4 of those can make it through. I really do feel like maximum it's going to be 3. I think we need to lose at least one of these kind of female ballads, unless there's just this gigantic audience of female ballad lovers all tune in and vote like crazy with their multiple phones. This has a little bit of an advantage from having Croatia and Slovenia, but then it also has the earliest running order of all 4 of those, so it really needs to make sure that it doesn't get overshadowed by Portugal. Serbia have a fantastic qualification record, 5 in a row. They've never been outside the top 11 of the semi-finals. So all the times recently when they haven't qualified, they've been in the 11th slot. I'm expecting this to be top 11 again. I think this is going to qualify in kind of 9th or 10th. Despite that, I'm going to put it as my second borderline yes. So I'm putting it quite leftmost because I feel like I'm very confident it's going to be 9th, 10th or 11th. I do feel like Serbia needs to apply the big stage in there to kind of secure their spot. But I really do hope that Serbia makes it through because a lot of Serbians really love this song. Just need to see a little bit of strategy here. A song so really has to be really memorable. Don't lose people in the first minute before the song really starts to swell up. Okay, let's next talk about Australia. It's Electric Fields singing One Melkali, One Blood. Now, this is a song I've seen a lot of people putting in the non-qualification section. Pretty sure that it's non-qualifying with the odds as well. I have to admit, I feel pretty sure that this is going to make it through. Keep in mind now, with a lot of these songs, we've seen full packages already. For example, Ukraine, Croatia, Finland, we know exactly what they've done on stage because they had a national final. Australia is quite different. The song came out quite late and had very simple lyric video. So it hasn't been doing very well with OJE or with the Eurojury. But at the end of the day, visually, we haven't really been given any information yet. We just have the song, which is pretty in the middle. It's relatively solid. I would put it in the same vein as kind of Poland and a little bit in between Poland and Iceland. But Australia had this incredible record to qualify. Every time that they've gone to the contest, they have qualified. Of course, Montaigne didn't make it in 2021 because the Australian delegation couldn't go because of COVID. I think part of that decision was the fact that they possibly knew that the song wasn't going to qualify because it was a little bit weak. I'm sorry to Michal from Eurovision Hub if he's watching this. He loves that song. But yeah, I think maybe the Australian delegation made a bit of a call there that they didn't feel like going was going to be worth the trouble. But every year that Australia has gone, they've qualified. They've won their semi-final 3 times. They've come 9th in the grand final 3 times. I feel like the Australian delegation really knows what to do. They have to work quite hard to get there. I don't feel like they just get given a check in the way that a lot of other countries do. So I feel like they put a lot of work in because they don't want to waste all this like time and effort that they've put in. And also I think the artists really, they tend to choose use these really like strong, experienced artists as well. So I think that Electric Fields are going to be really, really strong live. They're going to have a really amazing visual package, which at the end of the day is going to be a bit of a surprise to all of us, because all we've seen so far is them topless singing to the camera. It was a very budget saving music video, which I think is a good strategy. Save your money for the actual competition. But yes, I think that's one of the main reasons why it's doing so badly in all the polls so far. And I think that once we get to the actual competition, we'll see these kind of tricks that Australia has up their sleeve. Ireland's in the semi-final, so is Sweden and the UK. These are countries which tend to appreciate this kind of music. So yeah, I'm actually putting Australia in as one of my borderline yeses for now. I think that they're going to be one of the people who surprises when we get to rehearsals. Okay, let's next talk about Azerbaijan. I'm just going to move this a little bit. This board is ruining my life. Get out of my way. It's Azerbaijan. So this is Fari featuring Ilkin and Dovlatov. I feel like Azerbaijan have been on a little bit of a downturn recently. I feel like they're trying to find their footing and who they are in the contest after being very strong in the noughties and the tens with this kind of ethnically infused pop sound. And then that's just stopped working as well as it used to. And now they're kind of struggling to come up with what's a plan B or an alternate plan that they can do. Last year was a slightly unusual choice. This year feels a little bit more safe. The song for me is kind of like low energy. It's like 30-40%, almost like a demo. It never really builds up into a big climax that I want it to. And then the introduction of Ilkin towards the end doing that traditional singing feels a little bit glued on. Like they had the original song and it just wasn't impactful enough. So I thought, okay, let's throw in some more ethnic flourishes. So song-wise, I don't think this is particularly strong. I do think if they had some really incredible staging, they could elevate it. But I don't associate Azerbaijan with elevating in recent years. So I'm a little bit worried for this. At this point in time, I'm not expecting this to go through. I'm putting it in as one of my likely no's. Of these three, I would probably say that Azerbaijan is the one I'm most inclined to put up because it does have that ethnic sound and feel. I think that Azerbaijan have a little bit of money behind them as well. So possibly something to prove as well after not qualifying last year. So yeah, I would maybe say that they could be a little bit of a wildcard. It does sound quite different from everything else in the semi-final as well. But can they take advantage of that? I don't know if this new Azerbaijan knows what they're doing yet. Okay, let's next talk about Ireland, my country. So of course, I just got to point out that some people may say there's a little bit of a bias here. I am from Ireland, I admit that. I admit that it's not something that I need to confess to. I'm just letting you know that that bias exists. Really great turnaround from Ireland this year. If you've seen any of my videos, I did a What's Wrong with Ireland video last summer pointing out all the woes. I feel like this is a really, really great turnaround. I feel like Bambi is incredibly enthusiastic and trying really hard. They've got really good artistry. They're putting in lots of new ideas. They've done a revamp. There just feels like there's much more effort and self-awareness here than previous entries. And they're really trying to make the most of this opportunity. The song is edgy. It's different. They've been really well received in the pre-party. So I just feel like this is edgy and different enough that's going to stand out, even though it's fourth in the running order. UK is here. Australia is here. Sweden is here. They are half Swedish. I just think that this is kind of the best opportunity that we've had in a while. And if we think about last year, Wild Youth came 12th with a real nothing package in my opinion. I feel like this is infinitely more interesting. A lot of people are going to hate this, but then a lot of people are going to love it as well. And you can only vote for songs that you love. You can't vote against anything. So I'm actually feeling relatively confident about this. Again, a little bit of bias there, but in fairness, last year I said that Wild Youth weren't qualifying, so I'm not like ridiculously biased. And I think that this actually has gone up with the bookies into qualifying since all these like little changes have been made. I think Bambi's really going to go for it. And I think that Michael Keeley's going to be going for it as well because he wants people to just get off his back. So it'll be a huge relief for him if this makes it through. Very strange situation where this is in the top 10 odds to win, but only barely in the qualifying odds to qualify. It's like 9th in the qualifiers, but I think it's 10th or 9th in the winning odds. Yeah, it's just gone up to 9th in the winning odds. So very strange situation, just kind of showing off how divisive it is. This would be such a great redemption. I'm already super proud of what we're sending this year, even if it doesn't qualify. Qualifying will be a cherry on top of the cake. So I'm putting this in a borderline yes. Let's make Lithuania a little bit lower. We're looking for harmony on my board. Okay, next up is Cyprus, Celia Kapsis singing Liar. Now this is one that I'm really, really torn about. I'm gonna give you the pros and cons and then tell you what helped me make my final decision. So first of all, this is kind of the only pure girly bop in this whole semi-final. We have so many female empowerment songs in the second semi-final, but in terms of like upbeat female boppy choreo songs, this is the only one. But it's very, very early. It's first in the running order. Are people still going to remember it? There is no early voting in the semi-finals. Remember, in the final, people can vote from the first song, but not in the semi-finals. I think a lot of young people are really going to like this. It feels very much geared towards under 18s, but are some of them going to be going to bed? So that makes me a little bit worried. I think if you told me that early voting was in the semi-finals as well, I would be more inclined to put this through. But yeah, the fact that it's kind of got one genre to itself is definitely a pro. I think Celia looks very competent. She looks like she's going to be able to sing and dance this really well. Definitely feel if she was in the contest 5 years later, she would be even better. And, you know, this is one of the things I think is very risky about sending young artists, is that they aren't fully developed yet. And I feel like they do need a lot of protecting from their delegations. Having said that, Zina was 17 years old when she qualified for Belarus, although technically it was because of a jury error. Poland were meant to qualify, but one of the jurors put their scores in backwards, and so Zina qualified instead. So technically Zina didn't qualify, but she was still very confident on stage. Also keep in mind that Cyprus have qualified 6 of the last 7 years. With these type of songs, they have been very much sending curly bops the last while. That is a bit of their niche, so they know how to stage them, they know what to do. This is their comfort zone. My issue with this is that we've never had the first 3 songs qualify for a semi-final. It did happen once technically in, I think it was 2008, but one of the songs qualified by the golden jury rule. I won't get into what that is. Basically it was like a wild card jury 10th qualifier, which was Croatia that year. So in terms of like top 10, we haven't had the first 3 qualify. So I've already put through Lithuania and Serbia. Now, just because that pattern hasn't happened before, it doesn't mean that it can't happen for the first time this year. 30 out of 30 semi-finals where we haven't had the first 3 be in the top 10. So yeah, look, it's a pretty long pattern. It could break. I do feel also there's the pattern where pretty much always more songs qualify from the second half of the semi-final than the first half. I think that's going to break in the semi-final. I think we will probably have 5 or 6 qualifiers from the first half, and it'll be more than the second half. So that, I feel like that is going to happen. That has happened twice before though, in 2018. But this pattern of first, second and third, I feel like one of them has got to go. And I feel like at this point in time, with current information between Cyprus, Serbia and Lithuania, I feel like she's the least experienced. She's the furthest back. There's no Greece. Australia's there, so I'm expecting points from Australia because that's where she's from. But yeah, I feel like she's the weakest of the 3, and I'm listening to that pattern. Let me know what you think there down below. I'm going to put this in my borderline no. And I think that if she has a really fantastic performance in the rehearsals, again, this does have the niche to itself. So if she can really lean into that girly bop vibe and be the girly boppiest, this can definitely come through. But I think then that Serbia or Lithuania will be the victim of that. More likely to be Serbia. I feel like Lithuania is a little bit more safe because, again, Serbia has Portugal and Ukraine and Slovenia to compete with. So I feel like the semi-final is really, really wide open. I feel like these 4 are like relatively safe, and I feel like there's a huge amount of borderline countries that can jump into a qualification spot or jump out of a qualification spot based on what their staging's like. Okay, so at this point in time, I have 8 countries through and 4 countries out. Let's introduce the last 3 countries, and they are Luxembourg. It's Tali singing Fighter. We also have Portugal, it's Yolanda singing Grito. And finally we have Slovenia, it's Raven singing Veronica. Now I gotta admit, these all 3, let's see if I can put all 3 in my hands at once. Like David Bowie in Labyrinth with his crystal orb things. Yeah, all 3 of these songs have been in my borderline yeses and nos. Let's go through them one by one. So let's first talk about Portugal. Now this has got the best running order. This is right at the end. She's the second last song. Really, really, really beautiful. I think that they've done a pretty good job at taking a ballad and making the staging dynamic. They have these beautiful white theme in the clothing and the styling, and then they have this dancing, which hopefully they're going to elevate even further. So I feel like they are coming into this with a strategy. They've qualified, Portugal have qualified 3 years in a row, so they know what they're doing recently. So I feel like this is the first one I'm going to edge through, but I don't know if that's wishful thinking. And then it comes back to my point that I said earlier, well, between Ukraine, Poland, Portugal, Serbia and Slovenia, Are all 4 of those really going to go through? Let me know if you think they will in the comment section down below. But I feel like something's got to give in those 4. One of them has to be a victim, because I just feel like they share a genre, and then the people who like those songs are going to be split amongst 4, whereas songs like Lithuania I feel like has a little bit more of a monopoly of its niche. I think Croatia, there's no other rock songs here, so Croatia's completely dominant. Finland's going to have the humor vote all to itself. So lots of other countries have a less competition in their area, and then we have these 4 darker ballady songs. So okay, of the remaining 2, here are my arguments for both of them. First of all, Tali. Now, she's been given a fantastic running order. She's 18th, she's last in people's memories, but this song just doesn't seem to be very, very popular. It's doing okay on the Eurovision scoreboard, but in the Euro jury, which I thought it would do pretty well in the mock jury vote from Eurovoix, it's got almost no points, and I think it's got 0 points in OJE as well. So people just don't seem to really care about this that much. I think the song is kind of dated, and also when you consider that Eurovision fans tend to like this like female boppy kind of dated song a little bit more than the general public, that makes me think that the general public is just not going to get this at all. So I'm kind of talking myself out. Maybe I'm kind of thinking maybe I do need to put Cyprus in. Maybe this is the year that pattern breaks, because I just feel like this is just too weak. And I know that it's 18th, and it's probably going to get given an introduction by the host. They're going to say, welcome back Luxembourg. So it'll be a bit of a big deal. It'll get us a couple of sympathy votes for that. I assume some of the commentators are going to talk about Luxembourg coming back as well. But at the end of the day, the song just isn't that good. It's not a bad song, it's just a bit too meh, and people don't seem to be giving it points. Again, I just watched the Euro Hub score, and this got like almost 0. I think I got 4 points in total. It came almost last. I never see this in the top of people's lists. It had a small revamp, which I think made the production sound cleaner, but just overall, I think it's very underwhelming. And I remember Latvia were last in their semi-final number 1 in 2017, and they came last in the semi-final. So just because you're last in the running order, it doesn't mean that you're automatically going through. You still have to have a good song, and I think this is a little bit too weak. So I've actually changed my mind, and actually every single time I've done my qualifications, it's been a different 10 every single time. So actually in the practice one I did before filming, I had Cyprus out. I think I had Luxembourg in, but now I'm putting Luxembourg out. I just think the song is not doing well enough. So then I'm also putting Raven out. I think this could be a potential shock. Again, this is only one of 3 songs that has no points in the Euro jury. Now, I know the Euro jury is only a mock vote, but we've probably had like maybe 70, 80 different people voting, and none of them have put this in their top 10, or not enough for it to get any points yet. So only Moldova, Slovenia, and San Marino have 0 points. So it's just, people are just not liking this enough. I feel like it's very niche. I feel like it could be a song that Euro fans get because they'll take the time to understand the story. And keep in mind that the Euro jury will watch the music videos, so they've seen the visuals and they still don't like this. So I'm a little bit worried. I think it's maybe a little bit too avant-garde and eclectic. I feel like we're due at least one surprise from semi-final number 1, and I feel like this could be it. 9th in the running order, so it's kind of right in the middle. Again, those 4 songs I talked about, which are a little bit more gloomy, I feel we need to lose one of them, and I feel like this, at this point in time, is maybe just in that kind of telemoveish vein of just being a little bit too weird and wonderful. I love it. This is in my top 10. I also feel like when I'm making my qualification list, I have to have one thing that disappoints me. Otherwise, it gets into like too much wishful thinking. So yeah, I'm gonna put this in my borderline nose. Let's finally I can hook this thing. Let's move it around a little bit. But I think this is super open this year. I'm gonna say that of these 7 songs, anyone who shows up with really, really good staging is just gonna grab a spot. It feels like these 4 pretty solid. Again, I'm really hoping that the Jasper pulls through for Lithuania. But yeah, everybody else show up really clean, really unique staging that makes you stand out from everybody else. And I feel like you're just going to grab a spot. On the flip side, if you show up and your staging is really crappy and boring, I think you're going to drop down as well. And we've also got these kind of wild cards. These songs are definitely not out. Moldova, Azerbaijan, Iceland, if they somehow pull out a big gun, I think Moldova will probably be the most likely to pull out a big surprise because they are not afraid to take a risk and go kind of wacky. They could also move up as well. Again, Luxembourg being last, if there's this huge narrative about Luxembourg are back, oh, this is so nice, you know, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, let's support them, let's get them to come back next year as well. The amount of storyline that's put into the show can affect that. So that's an unknown quantity. How much stuff is in the script about Luxembourg coming back? Are they going to show a short little video at the start of the show saying welcome back Luxembourg and show them all their wins, etc.? I'm worried for Raven. I love this song, I think it's beautiful, but are casual viewers going to get it? Obviously it has a bit of support from Croatia and Serbia. I'm very much open to it. Of course I'm going to do a second qualification video after rehearsals where I will give my final vote. And I think if we get to rehearsals and one of these three has a really amazing show, I think it's just going to blow everything open and it can kind of cause a little bit of chaos. This semi-final definitely has the capacity to be a really open field. If you want to qualify, come with something big, take your spot, don't expect to just be given it. Okay, so based on current information and just the fact that what is today, these are the 10 I think are going through. As I said, earlier today I had a different 10. Yesterday I also had a different 10. I'll have a different 10 tomorrow as well. Please don't get upset. This means next to nothing. I have zero influence over Eurovision. But who do you think is qualifying? Please tell me which things you disagree with. Do you agree that we could have our first 1, 2, 3 qualification with Cyprus, Lithuania and Serbia? I think it's quite exciting. I like that it's not very obvious what's going to happen in the semi-finals and that things are going to change and it's going to be nail-biting as we're watching those results. Okay, so as I alluded to in a caption earlier in the video, those final 10 that I put through, that's not going to happen because I put the first 7 songs through. So up on screen, you can see who's qualifying from the running order, and we've never had 7 songs in a row qualify. Closest we've ever come to is 2019 semi-final number 2. You can see there 6 songs qualifying in a row, but that was in the second half. So the idea of all 7 of the first half songs qualifying is total and utter madness. So I definitely need to change that between now and my final list, because not only have we never had 7 in a row, but we've only had 6 qualify from the first half once. That was in 2018 semi-final number 2. You can see there 6 qualifying. Other than that, it's 5 or less. So when it comes to rehearsals, I'm going to be hunting for whoever has the weakest staging, and I'm definitely putting out one person, probably putting out 2. I'm going to have to wait and see what happens. These patterns can change, but I think for so many patterns to change all at once, it's just the probability is extremely low. So I'm going to be hunting for 1 or 2 people to kick out of my first half predictions, and I'm going to be basing that on what happens in rehearsals. Okay, so let me put this mother lover down because it's let's get rid of this because it's really annoying. It's starting to really annoy me now. Now I can have my full screen back. Okay, so what did you think about my qualifications? Leave me a comment in the comment section down below and tell me your qualifiers as well. Of course, I'm going to do a video after the rehearsals. The rehearsals are starting, I think, on April 27th. I am going to Malmö. I haven't booked accommodation yet. My accommodation fell through, so I need to book something last minute. Don't worry, but I will be reporting from the press room in Malmö. Hopefully, I'll be able to give you an insider view into what's happening. No new donations on Buy Me a Coffee or PayPal, but if you want to support the channel, I'll leave links for you in the description down below. And of course, thank you to all my patrons for patronizing the channel and supporting me from all over the world. If you want to join my Patreon, I'll leave a link for you in the description down below. But of course, thank you so much just for watching and maybe giving a like and maybe sharing the video. And thanks so much for watching. See you in another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye. Blah, 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 blah.